All right, everybody. Welcome to the Farm Engineering Workshop, Session 1. This is Cultivate Yourself. If you want to be sovereign on a piece of land, you're going to have to become sovereign in that little piece of real estate between your ears. So let's start. Next slide, please. First off, we got a little bit of a preamble here, so I'm going to get you guys ready. You've heard the phrase, which way Western man? Well, I say the way is East. So you're going to have to get an Eastern mindset alert. This is a good perspective. I straddle it. I'm, half Asian. My mom's from Kansas. My dad is from Indonesia. My workshop, my rules, it's going to be a little bit of a beat down, but it's for your benefit. Have faith. I'm going to get you through this. The biggest thing I found when I went to Asia versus going to America is that when you see a fat person in Asia, you can just call them fat and sometimes even poke your stomach and they'll laugh at you. There's no sugarcoating. There's no coddling. They also have affordable health care. Imagine that. You don't have a right to be offended by things that are true. So if you see something and it offends you, that probably means it's a learning moment. I got offended big time when I first started my homestead. A lot of things that I thought were going to work didn't work. I had to face some pretty hard truths about myself, about my relationship, about the way I treat others and the way I treat myself. It was pretty rough. This is not really a school circle. It's going to be a little bit more like a BJJ mat. And there's going to be some sparring. That's okay. I'm going to treat you sternly because I need to call you to action. All right, next slide. So today what we're going to do is we're going to turn your notion or fantasy of a homestead into a plan. I started with just a fantasy. I started with just a notion. To turn into a plan takes this farm engineering mindset, the mixture of engineering practices and applying it to a homestead. Plans have end goal. We're going to make a set of rules, framework for us to work in that's going to get us to our end goal. And I'm not going to tell you what your goal is going to be. Everyone's homestead is different depending on who they are and what they want to have for their family. Finally, plans are actionable, which means you have something that you can do next. So when you leave here today, you're going to have some action items. If you want, I can even follow up with you and hold you accountable to those action items. I know life gets busy. I'm happy to be your coach. All right, next slide. That being said, there's going to be a bit of a beat down because I know you're strong. I know that you're a badass. I know you're a survivor. And I've got to bust down this lifetime of cruft, this market saturated world that you've been born into. You've been getting brainwashed since you watched your first He-Man cartoon to consume. And it's going to be a long process to get that off of you. Once you do, you're going to find that you're going to need less and you're going to be more focused on what you want to do with your life. All right, next slide. All right, so I'm going to describe a common man who has a common problem. Anxiety is a big problem for all of us. It doesn't take much more than a few minutes of watching Tim Pool to have your anxiety get stoked up. These global events, these food shortages, all of these things that are miles away from you but affect your life cause you anxiety. You don't know what sort of distant event is going to affect you and your family personally. The common man is also out of shape. There is a big correlation here between this anxiety-ridden and out of shape. The more you become focused on global events, the less you become focused on the most important thing, which is yourself. You start to feel unfulfilled and lost. This person might work for a corporation they don't really believe in. They might have a job they don't care about. And all this life up in the air makes their marriage a bit middling. Marriage just becomes another part of their life. And therefore, you need to be constantly entertained and constantly distracted, right? You become a consumer. So I ask yourself, is this slide a functioning mirror to you? Go ahead and click next. All right, so this is Uncommon Solution. We're here to man up. We're here to figure out what we need to do with ourselves to gain sovereignty over ourselves and start changing from our person, the real estate between your ears, to your body, to your family, to your community around you. Manning up is really a man up process. We're gonna have self-reliance as a treatment for anxiety. That's pretty much the main reason why I'm doing the homesteading. It's the main reason I started it, was that I didn't want to have to worry about the world's events anymore. I didn't want to have to worry about what's going on Twitter or what's going on YouTube. I decided I was going to go find a burden and carry it, which is exactly what Jordan Peterson told us to do. And if you've chosen wisely, your marriage will strengthen. Your solution is going to be, if you're interested in this, perhaps the solution you want is homesteading. So let's talk about that. All right, next slide. So homesteading is 100% about you as a person. You need to be ready for tough times. So you want to produce, you want to store, you want to be ready for action. You're going to be working on your homestead every day for at least an hour or so. Or in my case, actually, it's like at most an hour. You're going to have a lot of manual labor. And you're going to be ready for inspiration. So once you get away from this need to consume with the double O's, you actually have a lot less noise in your life. And you become able to hear things and see things and think things and feel things you've never had to really contend with before. Sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's good. This self-dialogue is going to be really important for developing you as a character. All right. The ability to lift oneself comes from first holding yourself accountable. All right, next slide. All right, so this is how I started. This is 1 year prior on the very left. About 2 months into homesteading, that's what I look like. And that's me present day. I took that picture in my new studio, which I wish I had internet in, or I'll be streaming this from there with my smiling face there. But you see there's a difference physically. It's like you took an animal and you finally let it free range. The Alex on the very far left was working for defense contractors, weighing a ton of, had a ton of weight, was worried about worldly things. That Alex wasn't going to make it, right? You'd look at him and you'd say, this guy's definitely not going to make it. No, you can make it. All you have to do is kind of throw yourself into it. All right, I'm going to show you guys how to do that. All right, next slide, please. Thanks, Mod. So now that we've talked about how homesteading is about you, let's talk about how homesteading is about us. So this is our mission. Anytime you want to set forth on anything, you need a mission statement. That mission statement is a clear, preferably one-line thing that you want to accomplish. It keeps you focused and it helps you cut all the rest of it out. So my mission may be different from yours. My mission, though, is the ability to be food self-sufficient at the household level. Notice I underlined ability. If homesteading for you is just a, break glass in case of end of the world type of thing, that's totally fine. It might be for me. I'm going to try to produce food. I'm going to learn how to do it. Once I've learned how to do it, the bare necessities, I may stop. I may keep going. Quite frankly, I kind of like this, so I'll probably just keep doing it as a hobby. This lifestyle, the ability to be food self-sufficient, has pretty much been the necessity for everyone, almost all the population of the world throughout all of time, except for right now, the modern age, which is why you have the modern manlet. All right, you saw the slides from me before, that one slide ago. Oh, by the way, Mod, if you keep an eye on the participants, see if anyone's in the waiting room. Sometimes you get people joining late. That transformation I had on that previous slide was entirely from me just doing farm work. I didn't do any extra exercise until maybe like a month or so ago. All right. And living this way makes you focus more on needs versus wants, right? So the things you need are food, water, heat, and shelter. Want is everything else. I struggled to figure out what the need would be outside of those four. Maybe you'll think of one. I really couldn't. And the wants only come in after the needs are satisfied. That's an important part. So let's talk about this engineering mindset. All right, next slide, please. So our approach here is to use an engineering methodology to design and build a practical homestead. And we're going to talk about what an engineering mindset is.